Here's the blunt truth. Cam Thomas just looked at the market, looked at his numbers, and said what a lot of scorers think in private. Pay me Tyler Herro money. You can roll your eyes if you want, but the receipts are strong enough to force a real conversation. Tonight, I'm going to lay out why his 22.5 points per game last season weren't empty calories, why Brooklyn is slow playing this anyway, and the twist inside the current CBA that could turn this standoff into a win for both sides. If you only watch one breakdown on the Cam Thomas contract war, make it this one, because by the end you'll know exactly where the money should land and what has to happen next. Let's set the board fast. Who? Cam Thomas, 23 years old, Brooklyn Nets certified bucket with a quick trigger and zero fear of tough shots. What? He wants a contract in the same zip code as Tyler Herro's, roughly $30 million per year. Why now? He's a restricted free agent, the timeline is hot, and the debate on X is boiling over about whether pure scorers still get paid in 2025. That's the situation. And because we do analysis, not vibes, we start with receipts. Receipt 1 is production. In the 2023-24 season, Cam averaged 22.5 points in a little over 31 minutes a night across 66 games. Defenses loaded up on him, and he still got to his spots. He drew contact and lived at the line, created separation off the dribble, and punished switches with that quick-release pull-up that turns a bad possession into two. This wasn't a 2-week heater or a cute end-of-season stat pad. It was sustained volume on real usage, night after night, when Brooklyn needed someone to manufacture offense out of thin air. If your only argument against him is points don't matter, then explain why every playoff game tightens into a half-court rock fight where a team begs for a shot maker. Shot making still decides series. Receipt 2 is the market bar. Tyler Herro's rookie extension sits at 4 years and $120 million on paper. That's the tier Cam is pointing at when he says he shouldn't be viewed as lesser than Herro, RJ Barrett, or Emmanuel Quickley. Those names all live in the high 20s to low 30s per year range. That tier exists for guards and wings who can shoot, handle, and create, even if they aren't a true number one on a title team. If you're wondering why Cam is using that comparison, it isn't just the counting stats or a highlight tape heat check. It's because the league pays for 3 things: creation, scalability next to other creators, and the chance that your skill set holds up when the game slows down in May. Herro proved those boxes enough to get his bag. Cam is arguing he belongs in that conversation based on his volume and growth. Receipt 3 is the mechanism nobody loves until they need it: restricted free agency. Brooklyn tendered the qualifying offer to keep his rights, and that turns the summer into a staring contest. Any outside team has to sign him to an offer sheet and then sit frozen while the Nets decide whether to match. General managers hate that limbo. Unless a team is all in on a player, they won't tie up cap space for days just to be used as leverage. So a guy can look like a 25 to 30 million player on the floor and still only see cautious, incentive-heavy offers in July. It's not that the league doesn't value him, it's that the lever he can pull is shorter than it looks. That's the hidden power of RFA, and Brooklyn knows it. Now let's talk basketball, because that's what should drive the number. Cam is a 3-level scorer with a real bag. Pull-up threes when defenders go under, soft floaters over length, a tough mid-range when teams chase him off the arc, and the ability to get to the stripe when the jumper stalls. He doesn't need a runway to heat up. When a play dies, he can spin it into 2 free throws or a pull-up jumper. Coaches love that in fourth quarters. He's also improved at snaking pick and rolls, manipulating drop coverage, and using hesitation to force a big to commit. You average over 20 a night by accident once. You don't do it twice without counters. Now the counter case, because it's real. Playmaking and defense. Cam is a bucket-first guard. He can make the simple read, but he isn't a natural table setter who lives to spray corner threes on time every trip. On defense, he can be hunted, screen navigation, weak side tags, second efforts. That's the checklist. In playoff basketball, weak links get circled. That's the piece that makes front offices hesitate before they hand out Herro-level money. If they don't trust you to be on the floor in May, they won't pay like they trusted in July. That's not hate. That's how cap sheets survive. Availability sits right next to that. Front offices circle soft tissue issues, hamstrings and calves, because they can linger if you rush a return. Nobody wants to buy bad luck, and they especially don't want to buy recurring bad luck. If Cam's next season is clean and he gives you 65 to 70 games, the leverage needle swings his way. If it's stop and start, the skeptics get louder and the offers come with heavier protection. It's harsh, but it's the reality of paying smaller scoring guards in a league obsessed with wings who can defend and with cap math that punishes overpays. Here's the twist most people miss. Under the current CBA, score-first guards aren't being erased, they're being structured. Teams are getting smarter with incentive ladders, partial guarantees late in the deal, and descending salary curves that start near the headline number and taper to help ownership live under the tax. That's how a front office can acknowledge a player deserves Herro-adjacent money in theory and still guard against the worst-case scenario. You build in games-played triggers. You build in efficiency thresholds. True shooting, assist to turnover, catch-and-shoot volume. You build in team success escalators. If he's as good as he says he is, he hits them and he gets paid. If not, the team's downside is protected. Let's also put the Herro comparison under a clean light because that's what's driving the arguments on X. Herro earned his number by proving two things that matter to coaches. He can score efficiently next to star usage, and he can toggle between being the handler and being the spacer in two-man actions without breaking the system. He's not an all-defense pick, but he competes in Miami's structure. Cam's resume is different. He has shown he can be the #1 scorer in a lot of regular season minutes for a team that needed a lead option. The open question is how that translates when the game slows, the scouting report gets cruel, and every weak seam is attacked. If he shores up the defensive habits and bumps the quickness of his reads, one more swing pass when two come, one earlier tag on the weak side, he'll answer the only doubts that still cap his number. Coaching matters here, and Brooklyn's coach Jordi Fernandez leans into pace, quick decisions, and paint touch chains that end in drive kick threes or cuts. That philosophy suits Cam's rhythm. He thrives when the ball finds him on the second side and when he has permission to attack a seam. If he commits to the half-second reads, no stickiness, just catch and go or swing on time, he can keep his scoring and make the offense breathe easier around him. That's the difference between being labeled a microwave and being trusted as a closer. Trust is money. Now for the mid-video reveal. The message about wanting Herro-level money isn't only aimed at the Nets. It's a league-wide billboard. If Brooklyn stays conservative and Cam takes the qualifying offer, about $6 million, he can bet on himself, play one more season, and walk into unrestricted free agency next summer with no strings attached. That is real leverage. It is also risky. One flare-up or a reduced role, and you're trying to sell last year's model next July. But the possibility is credible enough to push negotiations. The Nets don't want to lose an asset for nothing. Cam doesn't want to risk a year for a maybe. That tension is the whole story. So, what happens next? There are 3 realistic paths. Path A, a multi-year deal in the low to mid-20s with incentives that push the value into the high 20s if he hits boxes for games played, efficiency, and team results. That saves face for both sides and is the cleanest answer. Path B, a 2-year bridge in the mid-20s annually with a player option, giving Cam a reset window while preserving team flexibility. Path C, the qualifying offer bet. That is the spiciest storyline and the most dangerous, because all the risk sits on the player's side. One tweak and the market gets cruel. Let's talk fit, because dollars follow fit. The Nets want length and switchability across the floor, and they still need a closer who doesn't require heavy play calling. Cam provides that release valve. Pair him with a bigger guard who can take the toughest backcourt matchup, and you protect him on defense without losing juice on offense. Surround him with trustworthy corner shooters and a screening big who actually makes contact and slips with purpose, and you'll see the efficiency hold. Add a true point guard who feeds him on the move, and you unlock catch-and-shoot value that raises his floor even when the pull-up isn't falling. The blueprint is there. What about league reaction? Fans are loud because the comps are emotional. Barrett's number sits in the high 20s, Quickly is north of 30. Herro is pinned at 30 on paper. Slap $30 million on any guard labeled just a scorer, and the internet melts. Here's the reality. If Cam lands between 22 and 26 with transparent escalators, nobody is mad by mid-season. If he signs for less than 20 with light incentives, the empty calories meme will explode again. Players are watching too. Score-first guards everywhere want to know if the market really closed or if the door is still open with the right structure. Let me steelman the haters, because they raise points a general manager must answer. They'll say Cam's tunnel vision leaves easy points on the table. They'll say his usage inflates his counting stats. They'll say he can play himself off the floor on defense when the game slows down. Those are fair questions. The answer isn't to pretend they don't exist. The answer is to price in the work that solves them. If he locks in on screen navigation, hits his early help on time, and keeps second efforts sharp, he becomes survivable on defense. If he bumps the half-second reads and trusts the swing pass when to arrive, the efficiency climbs without touching the shot diet. Do those two things, and the label changes from microwave to winning piece. And when the label changes, the price tag follows. Before we land this plane, let's talk contract structure, because the structure is the story. If I'm Brooklyn, I'm offering 3 years that average 24 to 26, with a partial guarantee or team option on year 3. I'm layering in games played triggers, true shooting thresholds, and team success bonuses that can pull the total value up near that Herro neighborhood if he clears them. If I'm Cam's camp, I'm pushing for a player option instead of a team option, cleaner bonuses, and protection against being shelved if the team shifts to a youth showcase. There's a middle ground, a rising to descending curve that starts near the headline number, then tapers in year 3 to help the tax, with full upside if he hits the escalators. That kind of deal says, we believe, now prove it. Timelines matter as well. Fans hear qualifying offer and imagine disaster. It doesn't have to be. If the Nets commit to a defined role, if the body holds up, and if the defense ticks up, betting on yourself for a year can reset the market in your favor. If any of those 3 break the wrong way, it's cold fast. That's why the compromise path, real money now with a clear runway to earn the headline number, isn't cowardly. It's smart. It acknowledges that the player believes he's in the Herro tier and that the team wants to pay for results, not just potential. So where do I land? If your only stat is points per game, you scream Herro money and hammer send. If you watch how teams spend under this CBA, you get more precise. Cam belongs in the conversation with that tier because he can create against set defenses and he has already shown sustained volume. Not a 10-game blip, but the final price has to respect defense, availability, and playoff scalability. My number today, 22 to 26 per year with escalators for games played, efficiency, and team success that pull the total toward that 30 if he earns it. That's fair to the player, honest to the market, and responsible to the cap. To the Nets, don't overthink paying a young scorer you developed. Your rebuild needs an identity, and fans don't show up to watch spreadsheets. Pay the player, protect the downside, and keep building. To Cam, the easiest money comes when the things people pick at, half-second reads, weak side discipline, second efforts, turn into strengths on film. Nail those, and this whole Herro debate stops being a debate. It becomes a receipt. Did Cam Thomas just shut down the Herro payday haters? He shut them up enough to force the conversation, and that matters. The next time someone says he's only a heat check guy, point to the volume, the leverage, and the modern contract tools that reward scorers who help you win. The rest will be decided by 2 things: how many games he dominates this season, and how much the Nets believe those buckets scale when the lights get brightest. Stay locked in, because if a surprise offer sheet drops or a late bridge deal appears, we'll be right back here, breaking down the numbers and the truth behind them.